So, Zuko here. If you don't know, my name is Jess, but I go by Zimmy on the internet because one time I was 15. So, as you're watching this, it's 2022. What's that like? Where'd the last 2 years go? Actually, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I don't want to find them again. I don't want to do that. Today, I wanted to share with you how I did on my reading goals for 2021 and set new reading goals for 2022. Maybe give you some reading stats along the way. So yeah, let's jump right into it and start with my 2021 reading goals and how I did with those. So the first goal, the biggest goal, the main goal is how many books I wanted to read this year, and I wanted to read 100 books. I am finishing off the year with 128 books. I'm filming this at midnight exactly for December 31st, so I have one day left. I could read another book. Unclear if I will actually do that, so I'm gonna say 128. Also, if you hear my dog snoring behind the camera, he isn't feeling good right now, so I'm not gonna bug him or wake him up if he is doing that, so you might just have to listen to some light pug snoring. If that bothers you, I apologize, and hopefully it won't be in the next video. My next goal was to have under 200 books on my physical TBR. I think I started this year somewhere around 280 books. Unfortunately, I am left with 219 unread books on my TBR because I've been buying a lot of books. One of my next goals was to reread and finish a favorite series because I have a lot of books that I read as a teenager which I've dubbed like my favorite series, but I only read like the first or second or third of them, and there were way more than that. And I'm counting my reread of the Twilight Saga for this because I also read Midnight Sun. So I would say that I reread and then finished the series, and I had such a good time doing that, you don't even know. Also, before we go on, I want to say when I say that I've wanted to like read X amount of a kind of book, I don't necessarily mean that I want to read like the whole series. My goal with all of these is kind of to get books that I don't like off my shelves, as I bought a lot of series as impulse buys a couple years ago or when I was a teenager, and I'm still kind of trying to weed the ones out that are not actually good. So like, for example, my next goal was to read 5 duologies, but I don't think I actually completely read both books in 5 duologies, but I did read 5 duologies enough that I got them off my shelves, even if it meant that I only read the first one. The first one being We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor K. Maya, I think. And I only read the first one of these because I didn't like it. Then I read the These Witches Don't Burn duology by Isabel Sterling, which I thought was very fun. Then I read the first book in the Song Below Water series by Bethany C. Morrow, and that was like fine, but it wasn't what I wanted because everyone kept selling it as a Black Mermaid book and then it kind of wasn't, so I'm like not sure I'm gonna read the second book. Then I read the first book in I Hate Everyone But You, a duology by Gabby Dunn and Alison Raskin, and I hated those books, so I did not continue on. I tried to read Vengeance Road by Erin Bowman and I did not like it, so I did not continue on with the sequel. And then I read The Merciless Something, or like The Mercies or something, by April Genevieve Ticholke, and I was so bored listening to the audiobook for that I fell asleep for 4 hours and counted that as reading it, so I definitely did not continue on with the companion novel. My next goal was to read 5 trilogies, and I read the first book in the White Stag trilogy by Cara Barbieri, and I hated it. I read the entire Simon Snow trilogy by Rainbow Rowell and loved it. I tried to read The Bone Witch by Rin Chapeko and I found it boring. I tried to read Rule of Three by Eric Waters and found it boring. I read the Truly Devious trilogy and the 4th book by Maureen Johnson and loved them. They were so fun. And I read the Montague Siblings trilogy by Mackenzie Lee and loved it. And my last goal for 2021 was to read 3 4+ book series, so series that had more than 4 books. And for this one, I read the entire House of Night series by PC and Kristen Cast. It was not good, but it was 12 books and I had fun, even though it wasn't a good book series. I reread the first 4 books in the Murderbot series and then read the first novel and the 5th novella and loved them. I read Lockdown, the first book in the Escape from Furnace series by Alexander Gordon Smith, and I didn't like it. I read the first book in the Autumn series by David Moody and I thought it was boring. I read The Diviners by Libba Bray and thought it was boring. I read part of The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon and thought it was really slow and confusing. And then I tried to read Undercover Princess by Connie Glynn and thought it was badly written. So that was fun. And yeah, that's how I did with all of my goals for 2021. If you are interested in specifically my like kind of stats, as I said, I read 128 books this year. I DNF'd 14 books. I bought, I think, 94 books, which is too many books. Out of those 94 books that I bought, I read 45 of them. I have unhauled 100 books, and that has left me with 219 unread books on my physical TBR. Now, on to my 2022 goals. So this year, like last year, I want to read 100 books. I think that's a good goal. It's a solid goal. In 2020, I read 200 books. I am never going to set that as a goal. If it happens, it happens, but I'm not just going to do that. I also would like to read all of the, I believe, 6 completed duologies that I have on my shelves. I think there are 6, but I could have miscounted. I have down here, I have 2 full shelves of unread, not queer standalones, and I think there are 50 books on those, and I would like to read 25 of those by the end of the year. I'm kind of trying to come back on the YA standalone impulse buys. This year I would like to complete the Night World series by L.J. Smith, I believe. I know that the series itself isn't completed and the final book has been promised release for maybe longer than I've been alive at this point. I remember being in middle school waiting for it to come out. That was 12 years ago, so not looking so good there. But I had a misprint of the second book, so I only read like the first 5 or 6 stories and never continued because I didn't have a way to actually properly read that one story. So I want to reread all the ones I've read and then finish the whole series that is available, because why not? It's, I think, my last big series that I haven't read all of. Then I would like to finish off and read all of my nonfiction. I have not too many nonfiction books on my shelf, and I would just like to have my shelf kind of curated to just the books that have like some kind of meaning to me. I would like to read 5 trilogies. I think I have a lot of specifically fantasy trilogies that I haven't read yet, and I want to read more fantasy too. So I'm like, let's read some of these freaking trilogies and get that done and out of the way. And lastly, also like last year, I want to have under 200 books on my physical TBR. I know that at the moment that's only 20 books away, but I also know that I've done a lot of pre-ordering for this year, and I have an idea of how many books I'm going to be buying just based on the pre-orders that are currently available that interest me, as well as I placed a order on my birthday because I had a birthday discount at Chapters, so I placed an order there and got a bunch of books that I have been waiting on. So I know I'm gonna have more books than that, which is why I haven't set this goal lower. I think initially I had hoped I could get it under like 150, but I want to be more realistic than that because reading 100 books hopefully will just get me under 200, and that would be great. So yeah, those were all of my goals for 2021, and now my new goals for 2022. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you have any goals that you would like to share with me, or if you would like to tell me how you did with your goals for last year, or how many books you read last year, or how many books you're hoping to read this year. Just tell me something about your reading. And yeah, I will see you whenever I do my next video.